So I'm at 0.4% with Cheddar Man, and it says here you are genetically closer to this sample than 19.8% of genome link users. The remains known as Cheddar Man belong to the early Mesolithic hunter-gatherer society of Britain and were radiocarbon dated to be from between 8,607 and 7,982 BCE. His remains were discovered in Gough's Cave near the village of Cheddar, Somerset County, England. As with other Mesolithic people in Britain, he was likely buried intentionally. His skeleton is almost complete, and DNA was extracted from his petrous skull bone. He belonged to the U5B1 mitochondrial haplogroup, and his Y haplogroup is I2A2. Compared to the farming people who had a poor diet rich in carbohydrates which led to tooth decay, hunter-gatherers such as Cheddar Man had a healthier, balanced diet, suggested by his almost complete teeth. Findings from nearby sites indicate that British hunter-gatherers foraged on nuts, seeds and fish. They hunted red deer and auroch. His frontal bone has a large cavity, however. It is debated whether it was caused by an infectious abscess, a mortal blow, or post-mortem decay. The entire genome of Cheddar Man was sequenced. According to the SLC24A4 gene, RS12896399 polymorphism, he had a blue/green eye colour, while the PIGU RS2378249 locus suggests that he had dark brown or black hair. Based on the BNC2 RS10756819, TYR RS1126809, and MC1R RS321235 polymorphisms, he is predicted to have had a dark or black skin tone. Due to its isolation from the main continent, the colonisation of the British Isles occurred from two directions. Mesolithic hunter-gatherers of Britain show genetic connections to the Western European hunter-gatherers and Scandinavian hunter-gatherers. However, it is also possible that they preserved some ancestry from earlier Paleolithic Magdalenian culture. Farming was introduced at relatively late date to the British Isles. Neolithic Aegean farmers colonised the Isles from around 5,850 to 4,500 BCE. Cheddar Man had a typical Western hunter-gatherer ancestry. Today, around 10% of British population traces back ancestry to the hunter-gatherer population of which Cheddar Man was a part. This does not mean that they directly descend from the Cheddar Man's population, but rather from the Neolithic and Bronze Age immigrants who had various admixture rates with Western hunter-gatherers of the continent whom they had met during migration. The Cheddar Man belonged to the U5B1 mitochondrial haplogroup, which likely originated in southern and central parts of Europe. The Y DNA haplogroup I2 originated in Europe. The I2A2 haplogroup of the Cheddar Man is the most frequent in today's Germany and Sweden at around 4%. So how do I connect with this sample? Haplogroups J1C3, which is mine, and U5B1 connect deeply within the human maternal family tree through a shared female ancestor who lived approximately 56,000 years ago. This common ancestor belonged to the macro haplogroup R, a massive genetic branch that arose shortly after the early human migrations out of Africa. Because mitochondrial DNA is inherited strictly from mother to child, this connection represents a pure maternal lineage. The family tree branches downward from their shared ancestor through distinct historical migrations and time periods. Cheddar Man lived a nomadic, physically demanding hunter-gatherer lifestyle in a wild, densely forested Britain. Because he lived during the Mesolithic period around 10,000 years ago, his days were dictated entirely by the seasons, animal migrations, and the search for food. His daily life can be broken down into several key ways: the landscape and environment. Connected Europe. Britain was not yet an island. Cheddar Man could have walked to modern-day France or Denmark across Doggerland, a massive land bridge that later sank to rising sea levels. Dense forestation. The landscape around Somerset was a dense, untamed wilderness of pine, birch and hazel forests, teeming with wildlife. The cave as a tool. While he was a nomad who moved with the food supply, he and his tribe used Goff's Cave for shelter, tool making and potentially as a sacred burial site. His diet and subsistence. Big game hunting. He tracked and hunted large wild game, including red deer, elk and oryx. Massive, aggressive, prehistoric wild cattle that are now extinct. Foraging and fishing. His diet was highly seasonal and supplemented by gathering hazelnuts, seeds, wild fruits, and catching freshwater fish. No dairy. Genetic analysis proved he was completely lactose intolerant because farming and animal domestication did not exist yet. No adults in his world drank milk. Social structure and tools. Small bands. He likely lived in a highly egalitarian, close-knit tribal band of roughly 20 to 50 people. Flint technology. His survival depended on shaping flint stones into tiny, razor-sharp geometric blades, microliths. These were fixed to wooden shafts to create arrows, spears and harpoons. He wore heavily treated animal hides and furs stitched together with sinew to protect against the damp, cold British climate. Health and ultimate fate. Lean and athletic, standing at 5'5" and weighing around 10 stone, his bones show he was highly active and muscular from a lifetime of tracking game. A violent end. He died young, in his early 20s. His skull shows a deep, crater-like lesion above the right eye. This indicates he either suffered from a severe bone infection or died from a violent blow to the head during a hunt or conflict. And next to my DNA journey in the Mesolithic I era is North Eurasian hunter-gatherer from Oblast, Russia, a match 0.33% DNA.